What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, and today we're going to talk about categories. It's just a lazy Saturday, so I feel like talking about something random. And a lot of people have been asking in the questions below, what is the absolute best way to find the right category to put our KDP books in, and in general, our Amazon products. So today I'm going to tackle that, including how you can figure out the absolute best place to place your books in. So I'm super fired up for this. I hope you're fired up. Let's go ahead and do it. All right, so a couple things. In order to first illustrate the absolute best category to find to place our books, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a basic search for something that is trending right now and something that should be hot, especially right now and in the coming months, and that is a camping journal. Now, you might ask yourself, well, why is a camping journal hot? That's because people are out camping now. That's it. People are out there looking for Yetis, abominables, not snowmen's because it's not cold, but they're out there looking for the Bigfoot, right? And so as a result, they're going to be quite popular. So what we want to do is we want to fire up, and I believe this is available on Helium 10, the free version. We want to see what books are actually selling for the keyword camping journal. And you can see here that the average revenue right now is $1,720 and the average reviews are 160. All looks pretty good. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start opening up some of these ASINs, particularly the ones that are making a good deal of money and have a really good BSR. So I see I want to fire up about 10 of them altogether, and so that I can have a good broad idea of what's selling and what is doing good and what is, just out there making some money. So I think I got about 10 here. I'll just check and comb the first 20 something, first 25 or so, and grab those. And I've got a good amount of them. So I'm going to open all those up, and then I'm going to go dive into each one by one. Now, I will say this. Remember, a category is very important, and let me explain why. There used to be a way that people back in the day on Amazon would cheat the system by placing their books in categories that didn't relate to their book whatsoever. And the reason they would do this, and I've shown you this in other videos, is so that they could get the bestseller badge in that category. They would put their product in really lame categories that didn't even relate to their book. And we've seen it happen with books, romance books coming into children with substance abuse problem categories and things of that nature. People will try and cheat the system just to get the badge because the badge gives clout, and clout makes more sales when people see that your product has a bestseller badge, particularly your book. So we don't want to do that, and let me explain why. At some point, Amazon got sick and tired of people taking advantage of that. And so what they did is they would penalize anybody that would place their book in a category that it did not belong. And the way this was penalized is you would, number one, get higher rates in terms of your ads, because Amazon would assume that your book was about something else because you placed it in the incorrect category. So the cost of your advertising went up. And number two, it was also more difficult to rank your product because of the fact that they assumed your product was about whatever category you placed it in. So nowadays, you cannot do that. Amazon will penalize your product immediately. In fact, in most cases, they won't even allow you to do so. So it's important that you understand that everything that has happened to FBA products will eventually happen in the book categorization. So what's happened in that section will happen in this section eventually. And if you're trying to cheat the system, you will be penalized. So don't do it. Just stick to the category you're supposed to be in, so Amazon knows exactly what your book is about, and so that your cost of advertising is far less than someone who is trying to cheat the system. So, all right, with that being said, again, we're looking at camping journals, and I've pulled up approximately 10 or so products, and we want to take a look and scroll through each of them, and we want to have a peek and see what category are these books in. And what we'll do is we'll scroll all the way down to here, and what we can see is that this one is in books, Quebec City travel guides, North Carolina travel guides, and Colorado Spring travel books. Those really aren't related to Adventurers Calling, but since it is a camping journal, it's kind of difficult to categorize it really. And we'll see what the next one is. General Minnesota travel guide, Arkansas travel guide, Detroit travel guide. And this does look like it is the exact same person that created the book. So it looks like they're just spreading themselves thin through travel guides for every single city in America that potentially would be a hot haven for camping. This one just put it in camping and guided journals. So camping would be the most logical one. I would assume that you would definitely want to put one in camping. And I don't think that the other person who is putting them in general cities is going to ever be penalized, because technically they are travel books for different cities. So that is something that you could do. But again, you're going to be limited by the amount of traffic that you can get if you do have a hot seller on your hand, because then only people looking for those categories will get served with your product. It would be better to put it in a very general category like camping, and then picking 2 of those random ones out. So for this one here, this one is an office products, so it's a spiral bound one, so I'm going to ignore that one. This one could potentially be the same thing, and this one is also an office products spiral notebook, so we're going to just X that out. This one we could be dealing with the same type of thing. And this one is a handmade products, handmade books and journals, handmade kitchen products. So that doesn't seem to be right. We'll see if this one. So far I've seen camping, which in general I think all of us would agree that camping is an excellent category for our camping journal. This one is an office product, so it's got another one, office products. And this one I think we saw already. This is the one that has the general area of Minnesota and North Carolina and Colorado Springs and Quebec. And this one right here definitely looks like we'll find some categories from this one. This one is in children's camping books, in camping books, and in guided journals books. So I like the camping books and the children's camping books. Those seem to fit what we're actually trying to do. So I would definitely try and put it in those. This is family travel guides, which I think is excellent as well. And it's also in parks and campgrounds travel reference books, which I think is pretty good. And it's also in camping. So again, we found quite a few that I feel fit our particular niche. They aren't cheating the system. This one's camping books and parks and campground travel and reference books. And then lastly, we got this one right here, which is in the categories of camping books and parks and campgrounds travel reference books. So altogether, you can see that the main books that are selling quite well are in the camping books or the parks and camping grounds travel books and the children's camping books. So I would make note of where these are. I would make note of what they're called. And then what I would do is when I'm uploading the book to KDP, I would try and enter these particular niches or search for them, or I would try and enter these particular categories and see if I can find them. The other thing that you can do in the case before you actually go to that step is you can just look up camping journal here in BookBolt, which is free. All you've got to do is head on over to bookbolt.io, and then right under here resources there is a KDP category finder. That is free. You don't have to subscribe to BookBolt. If you do want to, there is a link below in my description which goes to help this channel. Obviously I appreciate it, but you don't have to. But here we go, camping journal, or maybe I should say you have to. Just kidding. All right, camping journal, we hit search and we see what pops up, and we see that this is what it's giving us. Nonfiction, sports and recreation, camping, which sounds pretty logical. And then we've got juvenile fiction, sports and recreation, camping and outdoors, which was the kids camping one. And then we got juvenile nonfiction, sports and recreation, camping and outdoor activities, which all three relate. And you can see that it classifies them as a medium relevance. I would imagine it's a pretty high relevance. It's hard to classify a camping journal in general. It's not a clear-cut activity book. It's not a clear-cut coloring book for kids ages 2 to 6. It's a camping journal. So it's very broad. So altogether, I would go for those 2 categories if possible. This camping and outdoor activities for these 2, and or this general camping niche. So that's kind of how you do it. But the main thing is to grab the top 10 sellers and figure out where are the majority of these sellers placing their book. Once you can figure that out, you can use something like BookBolt Category Finder and then make sure that it all looks to be right. And then when you head on over to the KDP category selection part, that's where you look for those things. Now, keep one final thing in mind, because people always freak out about this. Categories are constantly evolving, which means Amazon takes away categories at times and they add additional categories. Don't be scared. Put your books in the most relevant categories at that time. And if you can't find those, there will be a spot for them among the new categories. And they're constantly changing this information because things constantly evolve in the algorithm. So they want to make sure that they serve their customers the most relevant information. And a lot of times that's due to the artificial intelligence they have built into their algorithm. It's constantly learning and constantly changing things up to try and make it that much better from a search perspective for all of its customers. So again, don't panic when that happens. If you can't jump into the camping broad niche because it's gone, don't worry. There's probably a more specific niche that is now available to you if you take the time to search enough by using tools like KDP Category Finder and internally Amazon's KDP category tool that you use when you upload your book. So hopefully that all made sense, but I just wanted to pop in here and just tell you guys that That is the case with categories, and that is how you put your book in the perfect category, lower your ad costs, and increase your relevancy for the Amazon search engine. So questions and comments, go below. I always personally answer those, and I'll see you guys next time.